Welcome to our exploration of technology integration in education. Today, we'll dive into how design frameworks can sharpen your professional judgment without reducing technology use to a mere checklist or a race for the latest tools. Instead, we'll focus on thoughtful, purposeful integration that truly enhances learning. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand how to connect outcomes, evidence, activities, and resources using backward design, and how to apply frameworks like TPACK, SAMR, UDL, and ICT competence to your teaching practice. Let's get started by considering why frameworks matter and how they can guide, not dictate, your instructional decisions. Let's begin with our essential question. How can design frameworks sharpen professional judgment without turning technology integration into a checklist or a race toward more advanced tools? This question sets the tone for our lesson. It reminds us that technology should serve learning goals, not the other way around. As we move through each framework, keep this question in mind. Think about how each approach helps you make smarter, more intentional choices for your students, rather than just ticking boxes or chasing trends. Our learning objectives for this lesson are clear. First, you'll learn to use backward design to connect outcomes, evidence, activities, and resources. Next, you'll explain how technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge interact in the TPACK model. You'll also use the SAMR framework as a tool for reflective practice, not as a hierarchy of instructional quality. Finally, you'll apply UDL and ICT competence perspectives to improve accessibility, learner agency, and your own professional practice. These objectives will guide our journey through the frameworks. Before we dive deeper, let's clarify some key concepts and vocabulary. We'll be using terms like backward design, TPACK, SAMR, UDL, and ICT competency throughout this lesson. You'll also hear about context, learner agency, and pedagogical fit. Understanding these terms will help you make sense of each framework and see how they fit together to support effective technology integration. Let's start with a simple activity. Compare two uses of presentation slides. In one lesson, slides are used for copying definitions. In another, they guide an image-based inquiry. Why does the same tool support such different levels of learning quality? This activity helps you reflect on your own experiences and consider how technology can be used in more or less effective ways, depending on your instructional choices. Now take a moment for self-reflection. Ask yourself, what do I already know about technology integration? What am I uncertain about? What evidence or experience might change my initial view? Record a short response for yourself. You'll revisit this reflection at the end of the lesson to see how your understanding has evolved. Let's begin with backward design. This framework starts by asking what learners should understand or be able to do. Next, it considers what evidence will demonstrate this understanding. Finally, it identifies which learning experiences will prepare students to succeed. Technology is only chosen after these decisions, unless using technology is itself a learning goal. This approach keeps the focus on learning, not on the tools. A key professional habit in backward design is documenting the reason for each instructional decision and the evidence used. This practice turns resource selection and lesson design into an accountable process, rather than one based on personal preference or convenience. It also helps you reflect on your choices and improve your teaching over time. Next, let's explore TPACK, technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge. TPACK emphasizes that technology decisions are inseparable from content and pedagogy. For example, a mathematics teacher must understand math, how students learn math, and which tools best reveal mathematical ideas. Context matters. What works in one setting may not work in another. When applying TPACK, always consider the context. A solution designed for one device per child may not transfer to a multi-grade classroom with only one teacher device. Effective technology integration requires adapting your approach to fit your specific teaching environment and student needs. Just like with backward design, documenting your decisions and the evidence behind them is crucial in TPACK. This habit ensures that your technology choices are thoughtful and aligned with both content and pedagogy, rather than based on convenience or habit. Now let's look at the SAMR framework: substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. SAMR helps you describe how a task changes when technology is introduced. Importantly, higher categories are not automatically better. Sometimes, a simple substitution is the most efficient choice for a given learning goal. Use SAMR as a reflective tool, not a ladder to climb. For example, digital substitution may be ideal for quick retrieval practice, while a collaborative, technology-enhanced task may be justified when the learning outcome requires authentic communication or co-creation. Quality depends on alignment. cognitive demand, accessibility, and context, not just on the SAMR level. As with other frameworks, it's important to document your reasoning and evidence when classifying a task using SAMR. This practice supports professional growth and helps you make more intentional technology choices in your teaching. Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, anticipates learner variability by providing multiple means of engagement, representation, and action or expression. UDL ensures that all students can access and participate in learning, regardless of their individual needs or preferences. Teacher ICT competence goes beyond simply operating digital tools. It includes curriculum application, assessment, collaboration, policy awareness, digital ethics, problem solving, and ongoing professional learning. The strongest instructional plans integrate these perspectives, rather than applying them in isolation. The most effective technology integration happens when you combine the lenses of backward design, TPACK, SAMR, UDL, and ICT competence. Rather than applying each framework separately, look for ways they can inform and strengthen each other in your planning and teaching. Across all frameworks, a key professional habit is to document your decisions and the evidence supporting them. This turns resource selection and lesson design into an accountable instructional process, ensuring your choices are justified and aligned with learning goals. Let's look at a conceptual organizer that brings together backward design, TPACK, SAMR, UDL, and ICT competence. This visual tool helps you see how the frameworks interact and support each other, guiding you toward more effective technology integration. Let's apply these frameworks in a real-world context, a Grade 4 mathematics lesson on equivalent fractions in a Philippine elementary classroom. The content focuses on equivalence and part-whole relationships. The pedagogy uses a concrete, representational, abstract progression and guided comparison. Technology options include fraction strips, an offline interactive representation, or a projected simulation. In this example, UDL is applied by offering tactile or printed fraction strips, visual labels, oral explanations, and flexible response modes. These supports ensure that all students can engage with the lesson, regardless of their learning preferences or needs. In this lesson, the SAMR classification is secondary to the overall learning design. The focus remains on how technology supports the learning outcome, not on achieving a higher SAMR level. This reinforces the idea that quality depends on alignment and context, not just on the tool used. Start your lesson planning by specifying one elementary outcome and identifying acceptable evidence before choosing any technology. This ensures that your technology choices are always driven by learning goals, not by the availability of tools. Next, map out your content knowledge, CK, pedagogical knowledge, PK, and technological knowledge, TK. Identify where these areas intersect and which intersection matters most for your lesson. This step helps you apply the TPACK framework in a practical way. Classify one technology-supported task using the SAMR framework. Then, explain why the category you chose is not a quality score. This reflection helps you focus on the purpose and effectiveness of your technology use, rather than just aiming for higher SAMR levels. Add one UDL support for engagement, representation, and action or expression to your lesson plan. This step ensures your lesson is accessible and engaging for all students, regardless of their individual needs. Finally, redesign your lesson plan for a context where only the teacher has a device. This challenge encourages you to think creatively about how to adapt your technology integration to different classroom realities. As you work through these guided activities, mark one decision you can justify confidently and one decision that still needs more evidence. Ask a peer to challenge your weaker decision before you proceed. This process helps you develop stronger professional judgment and reflective practice. Self-regulated learning is a key part of professional growth. By regularly reflecting on your knowledge, uncertainties, and evidence, you become a more effective and adaptable educator. This habit supports continuous improvement in your teaching practice. As you synthesize your learning, revisit your initial reflections and see how your understanding has changed. Consider how backward design, TPACK, SAMR, UDL, and ICT competence can work together to inform your instructional decisions and improve student outcomes. Let's walk through a backward design example. Suppose your goal is for students to understand equivalent fractions. First, define what success looks like. Perhaps students can represent equivalent fractions in multiple ways. Next, decide what evidence will show this understanding, such as a hands-on activity or a written explanation. Only then do you select the technology that best supports these outcomes. Applying TPACK means considering your content knowledge, pedagogical strategies, and technology options together. For example, you might use physical fraction strips, a digital simulation, or a combination of both, depending on your students' needs and your classroom context. Let's classify a technology-supported task using SAMR. If you use a digital worksheet instead of paper, that's substitution. If you add interactive features, that's augmentation. If students collaborate online to create a project, that's modification or redefinition. Remember, the goal is not to reach the highest level, but to match the tool to the learning need. To support all learners, add UDL elements to your lesson. For example, provide tactile fraction strips for hands-on learners, visual labels for visual learners, oral explanations for auditory learners, and flexible ways for students to show what they know. These supports make your lesson more inclusive and effective. If only the teacher has a device, adapt your lesson by projecting simulations or using printed materials for students. This approach ensures that all students can participate, even with limited technology resources. Collaboration is key to professional growth. Share your lesson plans and technology decisions with peers. Ask for feedback and be open to challenges. This process helps you refine your practice and learn from others' experiences. Staying current with technology and pedagogy requires ongoing professional learning. Engage in workshops, online courses, and professional communities to keep your skills and knowledge up to date. Teacher ICT competence includes understanding digital ethics and being aware of relevant policies. Make sure your technology use aligns with ethical standards and school or district guidelines. This protects both you and your students. Effective technology integration often involves solving unexpected problems. Be prepared to troubleshoot issues, adapt your plans, and seek help when needed. Flexibility and resilience are essential skills for today's educators. Use technology to support both formative and summative assessment. Digital tools can help you collect evidence of student learning, provide timely feedback, and adjust instruction as needed. Technology can enhance collaboration and communication among students and teachers. Use digital platforms for group projects, discussions, and sharing resources. This fosters a more connected and interactive learning environment. Teach students about digital citizenship and responsible technology use. Model ethical behavior and help students understand the importance of privacy, security, and respectful online interactions. After teaching a lesson, take time to reflect on what worked and what could be improved. Use feedback from students and peers to revise your plans and strengthen your technology integration skills. Sum up, effective technology integration is not about using the latest tools or following a checklist. It's about making intentional, evidence-based decisions that support your students' learning. By combining backward design, TPACK, SAMR, UDL, and ICT competence, you can create more meaningful and accessible learning experiences. As you continue your journey as an educator, keep exploring and refining your approach to technology integration. Stay curious, stay reflective, and always put your students' learning at the center of your decisions. With these frameworks as your guide, you're well equipped to navigate the ever-changing landscape of educational technology.